After a whole month without any contact, Ben caught me off guard by handing me a divorce lawyer's business card, completely skipping the usual greetings or inquiries about my well-being. He casually suggested that paying me $2,000 a month in alimony seemed fair, all while chuckling and with Bella arm in arm with him, mirroring his smug smile. I responded to their divorce proposal with such nonchalance that Ben appeared momentarily taken aback, though he quickly resumed smiling with Bella, confidently noting my apparent lack of strategic thinking, which, in his mind, simplified his plans. Once the divorce was finalized, I was fueled by a desire to enact revenge on both of them, intending to make them regret their actions as part of my path to recovery. My name is Liliana, a 44-year-old who thrives in the realm of illustration and children's book authorship. Drawing isn't just a job for me, it's my passion. Throughout my life, Ben and Bella were significant figures, childhood friends who meant the world to me, with Ben eventually becoming my husband. Our story began unexpectedly when Ben expressed his feelings for me as we were about to embark on different college journeys post-high school. Despite my initial surprise, considering I had thought his affections lay with Bella, I couldn't dismiss Ben's confession, especially since I harbored secret feelings for him. After some deliberation and discussion with Bella, I accepted Ben's proposal. Despite Bella's tumultuous behavior from our teenage years, including her habit of enticing and then discarding boyfriends, she remained a close friend. To keep an eye on her and mitigate any issues, Ben and I often included her in our plans. Ben and I tied the knot at 27, and our lives took a new turn when Bella introduced us to her fiancé Dylan, a commendable professional from a leading company. Dylan, ever so polite and eager to join our circle, was warmly welcomed. Our gatherings, filled with holiday celebrations, vacation trips, and leisurely train rides for drinks, strengthened our bond. However, the dynamic began to unravel when Bella became pregnant 2 years into her marriage. Ben and I, coming from large families, had decided against having children of our own. While we adored kids, the desire for personal freedom and the joys of travel and leisure remained paramount in our lives. Witnessing families with children often brought us a sense of warmth, yet our feelings towards having our own remained neutral. However, when Bella shared the news of her pregnancy, I noticed a shift in Ben's demeanor. He stopped smoking at Bella's request, unable to tolerate the smell during her pregnancy, and began using his vacation time to accompany her to doctor's appointments. I cautioned him, suggesting that Dylan, Bella's husband, might feel sidelined by Ben's constant presence. Ben's rebuttal was firm, emphasizing that Bella needed support and accusing me of lacking compassion. While I did contribute by purchasing necessities, I argued that attending prenatal visits was overstepping boundaries. Ben's frustration was palpable when I suggested that Bella's husband should be the one accompanying her, especially given her anxiety over medical appointments. His defensive stance, implying that my inability to conceive was at the root of my concerns, marked a departure from our usually peaceful interactions. Our relationship, once devoid of conflicts, began to strain under the weight of Bella's pregnancy and only worsened after the birth of her child, Alea. Ben's time and attention increasingly gravitated towards Bella and Alea, straining our marriage further. The tension reached a peak around Alea's 7th birthday, coinciding with her graduation ceremony. The day before the event, I found B rifling through our closet for appropriate attire, a task that seemed unusually pressing given his casual workplace. Yet, for client meetings, a suit was customary, explaining the pile of discarded suits on our bed. His intent to attend Alea's graduation in Dylan's absence struck me as exceedingly inappropriate, sparking an involuntary outburst from me and a visibly bitter reaction from Ben. This incident underscored the growing divide between us, fueled by Ben's unwavering commitment to Bella and her child, a commitment that seemed to eclipse our relationship. Understanding that Begotten fetched Alea from preschool, and acknowledging that I, too, had played this role when requested, it still seemed absurd to me that a mere friend, not related by blood, could consider attending a graduation ceremony essential. Ben's disappointment at my reluctance to support this idea, coupled with his abrupt command to iron a shirt for the event, left our conversation hanging and me feeling bewildered. Feeling cornered, I reached out to Bella, questioning the logic behind Ben's planned attendance without Dylan's knowledge. Bella's casual admission that Dylan was unaware of the graduation date and her plan to inform him post-ceremony was startling. It became clear that Dylan had been kept in the dark about numerous school events, with Ben frequently stepping in to fill a paternal role. This revelation, highlighting a deliberate omission and the preferential treatment of Ben, left me reeling from its sheer insensitivity. Confronting Bella about the unfairness to Dylan only led to a swift and unsettling end to our call, leaving me to grapple with my indignation alone. Nevertheless, I found myself ironing a shirt and preparing a tie for Ben, witnessing him leave for the graduation the next morning. This incident marked a turning point, with Ben and Bella's outings becoming increasingly frequent, escalating from monthly to weekly and eventually thrice a week, stirring Dylan's suspicions. One late evening, Dylan's unexpected visit brought a heavy air of concern. He shared with me the GPS tracking history from Bella's car, which revealed regular stays at a hotel on the days she was supposed to be out with Ben. The implications were clear from Dylan's somber expression. He sought my perspective on the matter, plunging us both into a conversation about the future steps regarding the unsettling discovery of Bella and Ben's actions. Dylan and I, both feeling deeply betrayed, agreed that we needed to take action against Ben and Bella. Our plan for retribution began with fortifying our financial standing. I increased my earnings, having previously focused on domestic chores and caring for Aita, which resulted in a decrease in my income. Meanwhile, Dylan transitioned to working remotely, enabling him to bring Aita to my place whenever Ben and Bella decided to spend time together. Unbeknownst to them, we were aware of their affair and meticulously gathered evidence without their knowledge. As we were on the verge of executing our plan, we stumbled upon a revelation about Aita that made us reconsider. The welfare of young Aita weighed heavily on our decision, leading us to postpone our plans for revenge until she was mature enough to understand the situation. Despite this resolve, I was soon faced with a health crisis that demanded long-term hospitalization, significantly reducing my capacity to work. After informing Dylan about my health issues, I reached out to Ben, only to be met with a dishearteningly indifferent response. His promise to visit felt empty, as his visits became sporadic, and he showed little interest in my well-being. Aita, who had been a constant presence in the early days of my hospitalization, began to withdraw around her 17th birthday, leaving both Dylan and me puzzled by the change in her behavior. Despite our inquiries, Aita remained evasive about the reasons for her distance. The explanation eventually came from Ben, who rarely visited. His once familiar demeanor had shifted drastically, marked by a flashy new appearance. After a long period of absence, he reappeared, not with words of concern, but with the stark action of presenting a divorce lawyer's business card, foregoing any pretense of empathy or interest in my condition. This moment underscored the profound changes in our relationships and the complexities we faced amidst personal tribulations and the unfolding drama with Ben and Bella. When Ben gleefully suggested a divorce, mentioning an alimony of $2,000 a month as if it were a favor, Bella stood by him, both of them sharing a smirk of triumph. Unfazed, I agreed to the divorce, which momentarily caught Ben off guard, but he quickly resumed his smug exchange with Bella. It was Ben's lack of foresight that played into my hands, allowing my revenge plan to unfold seamlessly after the divorce was finalized. I wasted no time. My first step was to collaborate with Dylan, planning a hospital transfer for myself and ensuring he and Aita were settled close by. My lawyer took over all communication regarding the divorce and settlement, signifying the start of a new chapter. Dylan moved closer with Aita, who, despite her somber demeanor, visited me daily, which brought me joy. I instructed Ben to dispose of any belongings left in our shared home. I wanted no remnants of a life tainted by betrayal. Shortly after these arrangements were made, Ben's confusion became evident through a barrage of missed calls on my phone. Returning his call, I was met with chaos, a distressed real estate agent and Bella's frantic yelling in the background. Ben's demand to know why they were being forced out of the house was met with my calm explanation. The house was mine, a workspace I'd rented to support my graphic designer career before we lived together. At that time, I couldn't afford to maintain 2 homes, and Ben, lacking sufficient income to live independently, moved in with me. Thus, he had never contributed to the rent or utility bills. The realization that the house was not a shared asset, but solely my responsibility highlighted the oversight and entitlement Ben and Bella had felt towards what was mine, marking the beginning of their unraveling and the fulfillment of my planned retribution. Ben did contribute some money towards living expenses, but it fell short of covering the full costs of our shared space. Regrettably, by the time Ben realized the gravity of his situation, I had already canceled the lease on the room we shared as it was inconveniently located far from the hospital I had moved to for treatment. This decision was made swiftly, the day after I filed for divorce without prior notice to Ben, leaving him and Bella in a precarious position. The real estate agent, familiar with our circumstances, had assured me they would handle the notification. In the meantime, Dylan and Alea vanished without a trace, and our shared house was sold out from under them. Ben, now desperate and scrambling, suggested a temporary stay in a business hotel as they figured out their next steps. Over the phone, his frustration was palpable, oscillating between anger and pleas for financial assistance, claiming I had agreed to pay him $22,000, a claim I flatly denied. His response to my denial was a mixture of disbelief and anger, mistakenly believing he could extract financial support from me despite his own wasteful spending. Ben's insistence on receiving money he had not been promised resulted in a heated exchange. Striving to maintain composure, I firmly told him that we were essentially strangers and advised him to cease all direct communication with me, indicating that any further interactions should be through our lawyers. Despite his protests, I ended the call, and after 5 more attempted contacts from him, which I ignored, Ben began to avoid calls from my lawyer as well, showcasing his avoidance of responsibility and the repercussions of his actions. 5 months later, following a temporary leave from the hospital, I made a visit to Ben's parents' home where I encountered Ben and Bella. The dynamics had shifted dramatically. They appeared diminished and anxious, a stark contrast to their previous demeanor. This confrontation at Ben's parental home was a culmination of their actions, a moment where the consequences of their choices were laid bare, highlighting the complex interweavings of personal decisions, consequences, and the inevitable reckoning that follows. During a tense family gathering, Ben defensively responded to my revelation of our divorce, visibly intimidated by his father's disapproving stare. Despite the circumstances leading to our separation, I had always maintained a warm relationship with my in-laws, often visiting them independently of Ben. Feeling it was important to be transparent about the divorce, I chose to visit and share the news with them. The conversation took a dramatic turn when Ben confirmed his plans to remarry Bella and start anew, positioning Alea as part of this new family unit. His father, clearly perturbed by Ben's dismissal of our shared past, expressed his disapproval with a look that conveyed deep disappointment. Ben, perhaps feeling cornered, presented me with a hotel bill from a recent stay at a luxury establishment, expecting me to shoulder the cost. This action, along with his and Bella's casual demeanor about the significant changes in their lives, including the anticipation of a blood-related grandchild, sparked a wave of disbelief and dismay from his parent. My in-laws, who had always embraced me as part of their family, recognizing the inherent distinction between a daughter-in-law and a mere family friend, were visibly unsettled by the unfolding scenario. Bella's insistence that the birth of Alea would somehow bridge these divides and bring joy, despite the upheaval and heartache caused, seemed to lack any sense of empathy or understanding of the gravity of their actions. In a room charged with tension and disbelief, it was Alea, previously absorbed in her smartphone and silent, who voiced her disgust at the situation. Her candid rebuke cut through the pretense, highlighting the inherent wrongness of the path Ben and Bella were taking. This unexpected moment of clarity from Alea underscored the complexity of family dynamics, the pain of betrayal, and the sometimes surprising sources of wisdom and truth. The room was enveloped in a heavy silence, broken only by Alea's declaration of loyalty to her father, dismissing the notion of any familial ties to Ben based solely on his presence at school events. Alea's words laid bare the reality of her father's exclusion from key moments in her life, a situation she navigated with the conviction that her bond with her father was unbreakable, regardless of Ben's actions. Alea's confrontation with Bella shifted the atmosphere, marking a moment of raw honesty and vulnerability. Turning to me, her voice softened, expressing fear of rejection upon the revelation of her parentage. My reassurance seemed to lift a weight off her shoulders, prompting a heartfelt embrace that underscored the depth of our connection. Despite the complexities surrounding her birth, my affection for Alea remained unwavering, a testament to the years of care and love I had provided. Bella's surprise at my lack of shock over Alea's paternity was interrupted by Dylan's timely entrance. His announcement that the divorce had not been finalized due to overlooked legalities cast a new light on the situation. Bella's premature plans for remarriage, halted by a mandatory waiting period, left her technically still married to Dylan, making Alea legally his daughter. Bella's attempt to assert parental rights over Alea was met with resistance, as Alea's preference to stay with her mother became evident. Bella's frustration was palpable as she faced the consequences of her actions, while Ben's laughter hinted at a deeper understanding of the unfolding drama, possibly recognizing the alignment between Dylan and me. This revelation reshaped the dynamics within the room, challenging the assumptions and plans each individual had made. Alea's choice, supported by her actions and words, emphasized the importance of emotional bonds and genuine care over biological ties or legal arrangements, casting a spotlight on the true meaning of family and loyalty amidst turmoil. In the midst of a heated discussion, Ben mockingly doubted the feasibility of living on Dylan's income alone, while also dismissing my financial independence due to my health condition. His assumptions were far from the truth, and his condescending tone prompted laughter from me, revealing his profound misunderstanding of our situations. Contrary to Ben's belief, I disclosed my annual income had reached $700,000, a revelation that left both Ben and Bella visibly shocked. Over the years, my career as a children's book author had flourished, with my work gaining popularity, leading to lucrative opportunities including essays, interviews, and an upcoming film adaptation significantly boosting my financial standing. Ben's disbelief was palpable, prompting me to display my bank account details to Bella, showcasing the substantial monthly deposits. The reality of my success rendered Bella speechless, overturning Ben's baseless claims. Amidst their astonishment, Ben's ill-timed suggestion for reconciliation was met with disdain from Bella, clearly driven by a sudden interest in my wealth. Disregarding Ben's plea, I firmly decided to part ways, prioritizing Alea's well-being and signaling a clear end to any further discussion. As we departed from my in-laws' home, the consequences of Ben's actions became evident. His deceitful behavior at his father-in-law's company led to his dismissal, and plans were made to employ him on a friend's fishing boat, a fate ill-suited to his preferences. The fallout continued as Bella, having lost custody to Dylan, faced divorce and estrangement from her family. Her disinterest in Ben, now devoid of the means to support her luxurious lifestyle, marked the end of their connection. Meanwhile, Ben's attempts to reach out were consistently redirected to my father-in-law, effectively halting further communication. This turn of events highlighted the profound shifts in our lives, underscoring the consequences of deceit and the value of integrity. Bella's solitary existence and Ben's challenging new path underscored the lasting impact of their choices, setting a stark contrast to the stability and fulfillment found in honesty and hard work. After her marriage unraveled, Bella found herself in a challenging situation. With no prior work experience and a history of depending on others for everything, she struggled to find stable employment. Her new reality consisted of juggling multiple part-time jobs to cover her living costs and child support obligations, barely scraping by. Aita, on the other hand, emerged as a beacon of determination and ambition. As she entered high school, she dedicated herself to her studies with an eye on studying abroad, aspiring to attend a renowned university overseas. Her dream is to translate my children's picture books and share them with kids around the globe, a goal that fills me with immense joy. Meanwhile, my own journey took a positive turn. My picture books have gained widespread acclaim, leading to increasing offers for animations and merchandise. Despite my ongoing battle with illness, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. My doctor recently hinted at the possibility of being discharged from the hospital next year. In the midst of this, Dylan's presence in my life has become a source of comfort and hope. He visits me daily with Aita, and not too long ago, he opened his heart to me, suggesting remarriage once I'm out of the hospital. His confession has stirred feelings within me, leaving me to ponder over his proposal while I continue to pour my creativity into my picture books. As I work on these stories, I can't help but dream of a joyful future for us, crafting tales of hope and happiness each day, looking forward to what lies ahead.